That's right, friends. Welcome into the brand new show here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is very exciting. It is very exciting times here at Mercado Airwaves. You are here, day one, ground floor, for pizza night with Niki and Mike. I am here with the lovely Nicole Mancha. I am Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We want you to be a part of this journey. We want you to be a part of the show. We are interactive. Please follow us everywhere in the universe. We're on iTunes, itunes.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mike Mercado 2333. Huge favor, guys. All of our shows that you hear on Mercado Airwaves is brought to you by our amazing producers over at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Check out all the tiers we have there for you to see how you could be part of the show, how you could support us here at Mercado Airwaves. We have a lot of cool things on the pipeline. We have a lot of amazing people that we have yet to show you guys, and this is one of those new things that we're working on. Bringing in my co-host for this show. It's kind of her ship, and I'm her first mate. It's Nicole. Nicole, say hi to the people.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this. This is our first official, podcast that we're doing. I am not comfortable with being on the radio at all. So if I fumble, I apologize, but hopefully I will get better as time goes on.
Yeah, so for anybody new to what we're doing here on the network, we've been producing a couple new shows, and this is something that Nicole has been kind of wanting to do for a little while, and it was only until we were able to make at least a good pitch of what we were thinking about, what would be a good flow idea, and I think this is going to be a nice counterbalance to some of the other stuff that we have brewing here on the network. So, like I said, this is going to be a very fun show, very lighthearted, and we're just going to hit different issues that we think you guys will all be interested in. So, with all in mind, we'll be back pizza night with Niki and Mike here on Mercado Airwaves.
Mercado Airwaves is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333.
So a little bit behind the scenes, guys, we actually just came back from my parents' house. And Thursday night has become a tradition where my brothers and I watch Thursday Night Football over at my place, and Nicole and my wonderful mother go watch Will and Grace. And it got us thinking about these new nostalgia trips that have been going on with some of these shows returning, some of these movies getting TV spinoffs, and I find it really interesting because in every relationship, there seems to be these shows that kind of are timeless, like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Will and Grace, Mad About You, Seinfeld, just so on and so forth. And Nicole brought up a very interesting idea that I think we wanted to get into today. And with all the nostalgia shows coming back, like a Will and Grace, is it good? What exactly are your thoughts? Because I know it's been a burning thought in your head for a little while.
Sure. Well, I guess I was thinking about it more because I love all of those shows that are coming back, even if they're absolutely terrible. Fuller House, not great. I can't stop watching it. It makes my day. It just reminds me of all these things from when I was a kid and like growing up in the 90s. Like all of these are so, like they were just so developmental, right? Because you're growing up and you see all these shows and they're really interesting. And now, especially that I'm older, I kind of understand the jokes a little bit more. Like with Friends, Will and Grace, all those things, like all those little things that they kind of hinted to, but didn't officially say, I now get. And I literally watched the reruns all the time. So when they were coming back with like Will and Grace and Fuller House, I lost it. It is my absolute favorite thing to sit down and watch because it's all these new shows, but it's with the same cast, right? So I feel like you get a little bit of both.
Like what made this be such a thing that you felt like it had to be podcast?
I guess I feel like everyone kind of has their own opinions on things and whatnot, but especially with all these things coming back, it's kind of making me think of, did we need this? Did I want it? invested, are you always hoping at the end of like when you watch the very last episode, right? When you know it's the final season, this is the last episode that you're going to see, and you see the cast, and a lot of times they get so emotional, right? Because they've been doing this for however many years, and they've been with this cast and this crew for so long, and then it's over. And it's like, I'm huge into reading, so it's like when my series is over, it's just over. And you feel like a piece of you kind of has gone, like these friendships that you've created, even if it's on, in your own mind, like they're just dissipated. And that's why people watch reruns, is to get those feelings again, to get excited again, to be able to see those things. And I guess like I wanted to see the answer for Will and Grace.
Yeah, let's say like you have a show that's like a Will and Grace that's coming back. Do you want to watch them by yourself, or is that the type of show where you get more out of it from watching it with somebody else? Because there's shows that I watch that I don't necessarily want to watch, with you in the room, just for a simple fact, whether it makes me uncomfortable or it's a subject matter that I take more personally. I want to have my own emotions. That's a very big jump from like Friends and Will and Grace. But when a show like that comes in, are you more wanting to share it with somebody, or is that more of like a you want to have it for you type of thing?
Well, I mean, Will and Grace is perfect because your mom and I both enjoy it. So we go and have our it's like a girls' night. It gives you a reason to kind of do things with people, I guess. The other show that I absolutely love that's not a nostalgic show, but it's a show I absolutely adore, is The Mindy Project, and I will watch that without anybody, don't really care. I think sometimes when you get really excited about shows, especially ones that have this comeback or whatever it may be, you do want to share it with somebody. I think that's always kind of the catch though, right? Like there are definitely times when you want to watch something and you're like, oh, I want you to watch this with me. I have literally no interest.
Like Stranger Things, you gave it
Stranger Things,
which comes out for those, again, behind the scenes. Probably when this thing drops, it'll be the night at Stranger Things will be out. But I mean, it's very interesting. Do you get mad when this? I guess this is a theory for all women. Do you get mad when the other person doesn't want to share it with you? Because there's times where in the past, I wanted to show a girl I thought was a cool video of like something wrestling related, and like looking back, of course, I'm like, what 19-year-old girl wants to see their 19-year-old boyfriend show them a wrestling video? But like, do you get upset when the person you want to show this to isn't into it? Like, is that a big deal? Is that like a legit big deal? For example, like I want to know your take on this. I have a coworker down the station who he wanted to watch a show. I can't off the top of my head think of what it was, but it was a show that's really heavy. It might have been Breaking Bad or it might have been Sons of Anarchy. I don't remember, but the husband knows that the wife is very sensitive towards like a lot of drug use, a lot of sex scenes. He knows that she won't like the show, so he starts watching it. And when she finds out, she's like, oh, you didn't wait for me to watch it with you? How didn't you know I wouldn't like it? Is the dude in the wrong? I wouldn't even say right or wrong, but like, can that be a real thing to be upset not being involved in somebody's binge watching?
Okay, well, the one thing is I always feel like, I say this repeatedly to people all the time. You're allowed to feel the way you feel. If you're upset about something, you're allowed to be upset about it. Whether it's grounded or not is very different. But I get being upset. I think there are shows sometimes that I'm excited about watching or whatever, and I start it, and then you'll come in and be like, oh, you started watching it already. And you're not saying anything bad, you're not being negative, but I can tell that you wanted to start it with me. And that's always that moment where I'm like, oh, shit, maybe I should have asked. I think it's founded in the sense of, like, you should ask, especially when you're starting something over or redoing something or whatever. It's just to give them the option. They may say no. They may sit there for 10 minutes and be like, oh, this really isn't my thing. But I also think that she needs to keep in mind it might make him uncomfortable to watch those things with you. Like, the most uncomfortable thing in the universe is when you're watching a movie and a sex scene comes on and your mom is sitting next to you.
Right.
Like, it's...
Well, I mean, when it's your significant other, like, they're married, but, like, just if you're dating somebody or you have that type of relationship with somebody, like, I guess I've never been upset enough, or, like, I've never here's the thing: if I want to watch something, I'm gonna watch it. If I'm gonna
Right.
do something, I'm gonna go do it. I don't need another person to go do it with, or nothing's gonna hold me back from it. But it tends to be a real issue for some couples. This idea of like they don't like watching the same shows, and I guess in an age where everything is media based,
Right.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense. Like, I do understand that whole idea of not waiting for the other person, especially when you're planning on watching something together, or if you just know that it might be something you should at least ask. I also feel that I'm extremely independent, so I kind of do a lot of stuff on my own, and so do you. That's why it works out really well, because we do like to do things very independently. But, I mean, I always think that if you're going to start something, if you're going to do something where there is even the slightest chance, and like you said, they were married, right?
Yeah.
You know if they're going to be annoyed by it.
Right.
Like, I won't pretend to know how any of these veteran couples feel, right? Couples have been together for 10, 15 years. But at some point, you feel like you have to know that it's probably going to annoy them, so it's better to ask than to not and have to hear about it later.
Yeah, right, and that's it's just I found it really funny when I heard that story, and part of me kind of just really couldn't understand it because like I don't get mad over things like that. Like, you know, if for example, like if I show you a video, or if I've ever shown anybody a video where like I know here's the reason why I feel like every moment of life should be entertaining. In the sense of life is you have so little time to do certain things, and you work all day, and you shouldn't force yourself to do something you don't want to do.
Right.
So if you don't want to watch a show, don't subject yourself to lose an hour every night to watch a show just because, you know, you feel like you have to. Like, you shouldn't subject somebody to that. Like, I will never ask you to sit down and watch 4 straight hours of The Flash with me.
No, and I get that, but okay, so I guess the comparison to that, right, is that when I'm watching something and you're in the living room watching something, people you can't see, the bedroom's around the corner. So you have a tendency to be like, oh, come see this.
Yeah.
If I don't come up to come see this, it's like kind of like, oh, wow, it's not even worth coming to go see it, right? Because you're calling me for a reason, because you're excited about something.
That's exactly it. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it may only be 5 minutes. Think about how many times in a day, though, when you're watching something,
And yeah,
you're excited and you call someone over. It's about including somebody, but it's also about you want to feel like they want to be included.
Well, I think for at least me specifically, I am very excitable. I get hyped really easily. So it's not even it's more of a, hey, I feel like you will get as excited as I am, knowing full well if I wasn't high on the excitement that, oh, no, she doesn't care that there was an Easter egg in Spider-Man, that you saw this. Like, she don't give a shit about that. So, like, it to me, it's, again, like, you know, don't subject people to feeling, to being miserable. So, but all this TV talk and all this, you know, involved in it and everything like that, it got me thinking. We were rewatching, or at least you were, and I would, you know, stop and watch a couple episodes every once in a while, was you were rewatching Friends.
Yes.
And it got me thinking best and worst TV couples. And it's not just, you know, that's an easy subject. I mean, literally there's millions of them on the internet that you can find lists for, but more when you watch these shows, who do you feel is the most realistic couple?
Right.
That you've watched, or that you've seen develop, or that you kind of see and you're like, okay, this is an exaggeration, but this is as realistic as it gets for television.
So I was really late into the game on this one. I just finished The Office.
Okay.
Super late in the game, and I know it. It's okay, guys. You can just destroy me in comments, but I think Jim and Pam are probably the closest to a realistic couple.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one.
They're, you know, she's not available, then he's not available. I mean, that's life, right? Like, where things just don't fall the way you're supposed to. And he proposes, it's at a gas station because he's tried it and it hasn't worked, and he's planned all these perfect things, and life isn't perfect. So he makes it work, and it doesn't matter that it was at the gas station in between where they lived, and it was dark and nasty and rainy. It's the fact that he did it and he made it the most romantic. Like, that to me was great, and I think that that's probably the most realistic. Like, they, wanted to have a kid, they had some trouble, like, things like that. It makes it, I guess, relatable, because I think the most important part of a story, any storyline, is having characters with flaws that make them relatable, because nobody feels like they're normal.
It's interesting. For me, when I thought the question on the fly, and when you were thinking of an answer, I'm like, that's a pretty damn good one. But I would then argue it's an extreme example, but Roseanne and Dan are, to me, because John Goodman is such a great actor, and I guess at the time I didn't realize it when you were young that you never thought that Dan from Roseanne, John Goodman would be this grade A class actor,
Right.
But he was. So the scenes that he would get mad, or they would be frustrated, or that they would, I don't want to be mean right now, but they knew at some point they were two fat Chicagoans and they loved each other for it, or that they knew that they were animals or they were sarcastic, but it was all about them. To me, they were the real life Homer and Marge.
Oh, for sure. I feel like first of all, Roseanne Barr is phenomenal, but
And shout out to Ricky and Lucy.
yes. But I think that that's a really good veteran couple.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I saw the development of Jim and Pam.
Yeah.
That's Jim and Pam in 20 years, because that's just life. Because even when he's giving her crap or she's giving him crap, you can see that they took a lot of care to make sure they looked like they loved each other. They took a lot of care to do that chemistry.
The chemistry was there,
Yeah.
and I think that's the wonderful thing about those type of characters, and that's what to me was more realistic. Because then you could talk about, Roz and Rachel, and you're like, they're a great TV couple,
No.
but that's what they are, is a TV couple. They're the most annoying TV couple, but they're a TV couple.
Sure.
They're the definition of a TV couple. I really did like one of the Wayne brothers in My Wife and Kids with the lady from Martin. I
Damon.
think, that was an amazing couple. The original mom and Carl Winslow. There's been some great ones. Like, we grew up in the time of seeing that, and I think that's why our generation has this weird idea of what marriage is, but then we also grew in the height of the divorce era.
Right.
Which is really weird. Like, I would love to dive deep and find some type of research to think of how psychologically we're different when it comes to our relationships because of what we were fed in media, but what was actually happening in reality with, sex becoming on the forefront of media. And but when you're watching ABC TGIF, it's all these families that are together. I mean, you even have a show about a nanny who finds a rich British husband, and they create this amazing family. Like, it was all based on families. So
Right.
you really don't see that in today's. Maybe now, again, ABC with the Goldberg, and here's the thing though, they're all dated shows. They're all
for
shows.
sure.
They're all shows though that. Part of the meta of the shows is that they're backwards. They're
That's-
from times past.
Blackish, I think, is a great example
That's
of
a great
solid
show.
couple.
But that's a great show.
No, it's a great show.
We I think we've done enough teasing
Yes.
about movie and TV talk. Please, guys, wink, wink. Stay tuned to the network. I think it's very funny that you have this rehash of a simpler time, not just for, the standard couple or the standard television viewer, but, like, for example, a show like Will and Grace, the gay community being so much more accepted, long overdue, but this idea that it's not just, a husband and wife sitting in a bed watching Thursday night NBC, it's every couple is watching Will and Grace or knows what Will and Grace is. Like, there's just so much more, like, any couple could watch Blackish, could watch the Goldbergs, and can find something to relate to in those shows.
Oh, for sure.
But they're taking a cue from a time past that was simpler.
Right.
It was easier to be in a relationship 15 years ago than it is now. simply because of social media.
Oh, for sure.
But simply because of the you do you, I do me, we'll meet in the middle, and hopefully everything is good. I mean, it's the dog-eat-dog world of where it is, and I think you can find it in media, especially in television.
There are certain things, and I think the reason that Will and Grace is so successful now, especially coming back, they've already signed for a season 2, is because everyone relates. It is not just a couple, even though they have those relationship type quirks, right? Because they've been.
But they are a relationship. That's the thing. Like you could
argue, yeah.
Yeah, but like they feel like a
for sure
couple.
But it's also that I can sit there with my best friend and be like, hey, like this is exactly what we do. It hits everything, right? And that's what makes it so great and makes it so important, I think, is to see those kind of relationships that travel through, because I've never been that person who thinks that my partner should be my best friend. I have a best friend. You're my partner. It's completely different. And they kind of blur the lines in that a little bit. But that's why I think it's great, because they can do that and they do it successfully, and they allow all different types of people to enjoy.
We got a lot more to get to here on Pizza Night with Niki and Mike here on Mercado Airwaves.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Mercado Airwaves is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves.
All right, Niki, it's that time of year where I get to dress like a slutty lion and you get to dress like the tamer. It is Halloween. It is Halloween time here at Mercado Airwaves. All over the world, we're all excited. We're all getting ready to eat some candy, drink some booze, and eat some pizza, watch some scary movies, and enjoy the last bit of good weather we have. And it got me thinking, what is the best holiday to celebrate as a couple? There's a lot of them. You can find a theme in each holiday to celebrate with a loved one. Well, some of them are more fun than others, and I think it's time we tackle them on the very first episode. No better time than to me, my favorite time, not just as a couple, but in general as a human man, Halloween. What do you think?
Halloween is my favorite holiday. I make a big deal about it every single year. I go through a ton of trouble trying to figure out what I'm going to be, what everybody else in this household is going to be, because I basically say this is what we're doing. The poor dog gets dressed up however I feel and hates every second of it, but I love it, so he has to deal. But as much as I love Halloween and I think it's the absolute best holiday, I will say that the one holiday that I hated being single for was New Year's Eve. There's nothing worse.
So weird. I'm the total opposite.
There's nothing worse. No. Well, because you're a guy, right? Yeah. Because you don't give a crap. Like, as a single guy, you look for that one.
Just that one. The one. That's all it is. It's just the one.
It's just the one that looks so sad and so forlorn because there's nobody. Everybody else is kissing on New Year's Eve and nobody else, you know what I mean? Like, there's nobody there. Like, it sucks. It sucks. So I think that's the nicest holiday, even though now that, I mean, I'm only 28. I'm not like 1,000 years old. But honestly, like, I could be home and be totally fine. But that's not an option, right? Like, when you're single and you're like, your friends want you to go out and do this and that, like, you have to go. So it's definitely something that when we're forced to go out, it makes me like, okay, at least I have somebody.
Nicole here is actually doing a lot of work when it comes to her writing, and I think this is a great place to showcase it. If you notice around, especially the entertainment landscape, there's a lot of unfortunate nonsense going on for our female contemporaries, and not only is this going to be like a couples type of show, like this show's for everybody, but we're going to give you some perspectives, a lot of different perspectives, just, you know, two people, shooting the breeze and a very lighthearted show, and I really want this to also be a showcase. Just, it's our goal in all our shows. I want this to be a showcase to show the hard work. So please, if anybody's interested to see some of the badass work Nicole is, doing, go to WordPress, check out For the Love of Words. For the Love of Words 89. That's FORTHELOVEOFWORDS 89 WordPress. You guys know what to do. Share it, review it, like it, all over the place. You guys are amazing at this. Promise you to you guys, we have a lot of cool stuff coming out for Pizza Night with Niki and Mike. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to come up with some really cool things to talk about. We want you to be part of the show. Follow us everywhere in the universe. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. Nicole.
For the Love of Words 89. And that's at Instagram, and then it's also at WordPress. For the Love of Words 89.
Killed my flow there. Complete hold to the end of the show. I'm not editing any of this out. All right, guys. You know what? You know what the shtick is. There's promos at the end of all the promo stuff. Thank you for joining us on the very first Pizza Night with Niki and Mike. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out on the network. We hope you guys stick with us. Stay tuned for next week's episode. I think I might start teasing it. I haven't decided. I'm doing live production here on the show. But whatever, I'll let you guys know what the next subject is. Maybe we'll make this the show where we make it a poll subject for couples. What do you want us to talk about? We'll figure it out. Thank you guys so much. I'm Mike Mercado. She's Nicole Mancha. You've been listening to Pizza Night with Niki and Mike here on Mercado Airwaves. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
To be a part of the show, follow us on social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter.com at mmercado2333. And help the show out by liking, rating, sharing, and commenting on the show on iTunes/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Check us out behind the scenes on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thank you for listening to Mercado Airwaves.